Once again, thank you for taking time out of your busy midweek schedule here as we get to the postseason in Coastal Senior Club Rugby in British Columbia. Welcome to our participants from Quebec. Simon is here. Welcome, Simon, and Sam Farber and a few of our friends from south of the border have joined us as well, which is great. Let's get moving. We will take a quick look at um, team of three stuff, a little bit of prioritization in order to set us up for success, and as well as a few notes that referees may want to take on board in preparing their ARs, their teams of three. As always, our season targets, enjoyment, mentorship, work rate, all in the goal of making what we hope are easy to follow decisions. Our video exercise, I will put as always, the clips into the chat so you can watch them at your own speed if you want. I will share them on my main screen as well. If you don't want to toggle back and forth, or if you're on your phone and it's not as easy to do so. So it is in the chat at the moment. That link, and I see we already have a few views, which is awesome. Thanks to those of you who have already looked at the clips. As I let a few more people in. Amazing. Okay, so once again, it's in the chat for those of you who just joined. 6 clips to look at. And for each one, we will not necessarily hit all three of these elements, but we will, at least for the first clip together, we'll look at three things or three ways to watch these clips, if you rather. So one being movement. And what we're looking for is what is the ideal movement and position for the referee, given that what's happening and what's about to happen. For the near side AR, so that's from the point of view of the camera, so the closest to the camera versus the far side, which is the far side of the camera. And our second one, we'll be looking at the priorities. So what is job one and then job two? So the first two important things to referee or to manage, depending what's in front of you, from the point of view of the referee, the near side AR and far side AR. And then finally, a little bit of I guess, a more philosophical, higher level question. But in terms of midweek prep, given the situations that we're going to look at, which happen quite often, that's why we tried to choose them. How can referees brief their teams, meaning the referee and the ARs, to be successful in these situations? So our clips will be looking at kicks in general play from midfield, so from basically under the shadow of the posts, kicks in general play near the touchline, and kicks as well as in goal situations and space, particularly on the ruck hindmost foot, that never onside picture. So we'll look at the first one together, and then we might have a few people sing out. All right, as I toggle screens here. So here's our first clip. We'll take a look at it one time, and then we'll go through each of those three components on the replays.
Possibly. Thanks for asking. Sit right up for the end zone. Okay. Stewart, coach chases.
Okay, so we'll pause it there. So on this first look, please fire it into the chat. And what I will ask, I'll give you each a role. So some of you, I will give you the role of referee. Some of you will give you the role of the near side AR. Now we can't see the near side AR. So again, we're not looking at what the people in the green jerseys are doing on the field. We're going with what would be ideal in a perfect world, where you had unlimited time and space in terms of getting to where you want to get to. And then the far side AR, of course. As I let in Nick Frank from Kelowna. We will go with alphabetical order. So Alan, BK, Chris Bowen, Dan, Darren, Jeff Lors, Jeevan. You guys will be looking at it from the point of view of the near side AR. That is your challenge for the first look. John Cameron, John Eady, John DeGoody, Justine Black-Jamet, Justin Roberts, Christine Lovett, Lance Davison, and Lauren Hancock. You guys will be looking at it from the referees' perspective. And then the rest of you from Leighton Williams, Martin Thornton a second time, Michael Blaze, Mike Landiak, Nick Frank, Nicola Mancy, Peter McDonald, Phil Webster, Pierre Archuleti, Iacchetti, pardon me, Rachel Morrison, Bob Brown, Rupert Whiting, Shanda Asmus, Simon Davis, Simon Eby, and Trevor Honey, as well as Zanger. You guys will be looking at it from the point of view of the far side AR. So let's look at this first one. So the first question is, given your role, what is the best movement and position for your role, whether you're referee, near side AR, or far side AR? Let's look at it one more time. Okay. So from this kick, right here, kicking behind, finding grass deep inside the 22. That is our first question. What is the ideal movement and position right from here? So if you are in the referee role, for example, let me share my main screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So you'll go into the chat and you'll just put R if you're the referee, and you will put in whatever in as few words as possible. You can describe into your movement and position what you want to be doing in this situation. If you're close AR, near side AR, just call yourself AR1. We're not doing ones and twos in terms of appointments, just one is close, two is far. So AR2, and then however you can describe your movement and positioning tactics. And AR2, same thing, far side AR, way you go. So we'll watch it one more time and then we'll give a few seconds and I'll ask you to fire in what your ideal movement and positioning would look like from what we see here. Okay, I'll keep rolling replays in the background while you have a think about it. Okay, one more replay, we'll pause and then we'll ask you to commit. So no wrong answers, just how would you describe ideal movement and position for your role?
Stand right over the end zone. Stewart, coach, Jason.
Okay, here we go. Fire it in. I see 15 of you have so far locked in answers, which is great. 18 now, as we welcome Andy Cannon from Naramata. Welcome, welcome. Sweet. I will share my main screen once again so we can see the answers. There we go. Going from the top. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, so everyone in their same roles. I'm going to ask you a second question this time. So our second question is going to be in that, given how you're moving and what you've decided is important, what is your number one job? So right from the moment that ball's kicked, and then after that moment goes away, that first important thing that you need to help with, or a referee, whether you're the AR or the referee, doesn't matter. And then what is the second job for you? So what is priority one and priority number two? And if there's a third priority that jumps out at you off the screen, feel free to fire it away. So what we're looking at, same thing. R, if you're referee, job one, what is it? Job two, what is it? And same thing for AR1 close side and AR2 far side. I'll play it again in the background while you lock in your answers. And for those of you who just joined us and you do not have a role, you guys will be looking at the role of the referee. So, what is job one for the referee? And for our American friends, the referee is the one in the whistle. The ARs are on the sides. I say that with love, being involved in that competition down south. Sweet, amazing. We'll share the main screen again and we will see what we have.
Chris,
Yep,
question.
go on.
Are we still using color codes like red, green, whatever else it was for no
For
that communication for like what we're seeing, how to react, pressure, things like that, or no?
yeah, 100%. You can use that if you want. If you're talking about like, oh, this is a red, this is a red moment or a green moment, no problems at all.
Can you, yeah, just so my communication's clear for it, can you refresh what red and green is?
Yeah, so red and green generally refers to breakdowns and like speed of phases. So this situation would be like a massive green situation because we don't have slow ball where the defense is.
I was making sure I had the right idea in my head, so it's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Okay, so we're
100%.
good. Yeah, okay.
But in terms of pressure gauge, like obviously, if you want to use a color coding system, or a
That's what I was
percentage
thinking.
system, we're talking a 95 in favor of the attack. But let's walk through that for a second, John. While we've got you online here, the reason why these kicks are quite interesting is it could be a huge pressure shift for either team. So I love the answers, but a lot of the times we forget about what could be happening. So particularly if you're on Windsor Park, which is quite a short, narrow field, what's a threat, John, with a kick from here? Particularly a strong kicker like Cooper Coates, who can hammer the ball 70 meters downfield. What's something that could happen that we're not necessarily ready for all the time?
Uh, on Chase, I'd say there could be a collision after the kick. There could be on the chase down the other end.
Yep.
Uh,
Think it like say we're on Langley Event Center or Starlight. I always get Starfire and Starlight mixed up. On the turf, and the ball gets moving forward. What's something that could happen from here?
I think you're alluding, Chris, to the ball
Up the
going
back.
dead, scrum back.
Yeah.
100%. So, and again, there's a lot of really, really good consistent answers in our language. So thank you, everyone. But this is a very, very important job. And one thing that we sometimes underappreciate is marks. So whether we have a penalty advantage or a scrum advantage or the ball's being kicked downfield, one of the things we have to clock in, even though the ball doesn't go dead here, it's a wet day at Windsor Park. Winter has not been kind to the Castaway Wanderers home ground, so the ball will generally sit. But if it's a dry day or there's a bit of wind, that ball can go dead. So it's absolutely integral that our AR, who's the furthest away, so we can debate whether it's they are on the far side or on the close side. Sometimes people like to use the play moving away from them. So if you're clocking late charge on the kicker or looking after the kicker, another thing you can clock just as a habit is where did that ball get kicked from? So that ball being kicked from here has a pretty big impact in terms of where the mark would be if that ball goes dead. Because obviously a scrum over here with a team with a dominant scrum, they can kick 3 points. If they win a penalty, a scrum over here, they can kick a 50-22. So there's lots of different permutations there. A couple of people just entered the waiting room. I will let them in. If that makes sense. So when we're thinking about job one, job two, it doesn't have to be a singular thing. It could be if we're looking at the kicker, we're looking there anyway, we can clock a couple things. Oh, they're kicking it on the 10-meter line. Awesome. They've kicked it. I don't see a charge down coming. Awesome. Moving on to job two, which a lot of you put as that ball's kicking downfield. One of the things we can help with as the ARs, we can't really help with the grounding just because we're waiting as ARs, both of us. We should be waiting with the kicker. So I would not expect an AR to sprint 60 meters after they're stationary watching something and be in touch with the grounding. They can help if there's something crazy, if the referee's tripped, fallen over, it gets taken out. That's more of a tertiary bonus responsibility. But if we can get in the mindset that, especially in the middle of the field, the referee's done extremely well here. There's a couple of components here. Job one for the referee after the danger gets cleared and we're looking at no in front of kicker, this is going to be a race for the ball. It's the referee's job to make sure that this race for the ball is fair. And then where this ball is, super important, and who grounds the ball. And really, really good work from the referee because you'll notice just a couple of steps, but the referee actually goes a little bit wider. So getting that nice angle as opposed to being directly in line with where the ball is really hard to see. So the referee gets a little bit of width, sees that the player here misses the ball. And I've actually blown this up using a bit of technology. The player does not press the ball. The ball is in goal. And then half a second later, nice clear press of the ball from the attacking player, and we have a try. Sweet. So just as a summary, let's make sure when these kicks happen, that if we are in a position, so here this AR is in an excellent position to see the kicker, and if there's any threats, we can move on quickly. Seeing that there's going to be no charge down, we can move on to, oh, we've clocked the mark. We can move on to the space in front. So whether there's people in front or people that are going to block the chasers. And then our AR on this side, obviously same thing, looking after the kicker. Since we're in the middle of the field, we can clock the mark, but really, really helping with those threats in terms of in front of the kicker and advancing. But again, here we see that we don't have any players in a position to be threats, offside threats. So we can move on to the next thing, which is taking a snapshot of where that ball's landing and then getting ourselves upfield. Referees working hard, groundings, especially in the middle of the field. Job one in goal is a referee thing. And as we get closer to the touchlines, we'll understand that we do need to give that AR the keys to the touchline, and we take what is in goal. Except if something happens, we're not in an ideal position. Yes, we can add additional information if we have it, but we want to make sure that we have our primary and secondary jobs before we, give the nice bonus on top, if that makes sense. So Rupert, great question. Who's responsible for the ball lands? We would say referee ideally would clock where the ball lands, but if the referee is engaged with a late charge on the kicker, and I'll show you that question, it's a very, very good one. It's actually in clip two. So this one, we need all three officials, and we'll just speed through this one in the interest of time because I think we all are understanding the competencies that we're trying to address here. So different kind of kick, closer to the touch line, a couple more factors to worry about. So our close AR does a really good job in identifying the first problem, which is looking after the kicker. So here, and this is really good reading of the game. In these situations where we have late hits on the kicker or contact on the kicker, which is not always a penalty, we just have to have that word realistic. So if a player is trying to compete under pressure, whether it's a contest in the air, whether it's a 2-on-1, whether it's a line break, are they realistic? So as we go forward, is this player in a realistic position to charge the ball down? Well, the ball's already been kicked and they're on the ground facing the wrong way. So the answer would be no, in my opinion. If that box is ticked, they were not in a realistic position to charge the ball down, then the contact on the kicker is this player's problem. And in modern law, I don't want to say interpretation, law application guidelines, you probably have heard it all on TV, like access. Standing still is not good enough anymore. If the space that this player is entitled to, because they're onside, is over here, these players are not entitled just to stand their ground in front of the ball. Because going back to the very, very basics of general play, these people are liable to penalty because they're on the wrong side of the ball. So a collision happens, bang, really good job. So this AR's got a couple of things to worry about and really smart. See, and again, they're in really good job, John. I think John's on the call. Like starts to run, but now is upright and just looking what happens because this could be a potential flashpoint, making sure that we have all the information. Yep, it's number 4. Not sure what number it is. Okay, they're wearing a red headgear. Cool, I'm going to clock that. And then still continuing, so flag out, still continuing to move because this ball could go dead. It can go into touch. There's still jobs to do here. So job 1 would be looking after our kicker, and then job 2 would be touch and also assisting where the ball lands. But it can be quite a difficult task from here. This is when we need our referee who's also clocked in here to be communicative with the whole team of 3. So given that this AR has fewer things to be worrying about and probably has a really good view unobstructed of where the ball lands, that's where the referee can go, hey, the far side AR, person A, just tell me where the ball lands. And if you have time and space to do that, that's a really good way to kind of, lead your team of 3. Cool. I got your flag, John. Thanks. Yeah, clock a number for me. Everyone else, there's no TMO, but let's get where the ball lands. So really, really, really good pickup. We stop the game, we get the information, we apply the sanction, penalty kick where it happened, or in 15 because it is between the 15 and the touchline. So really well done to our team of 3 here. So moving on to that third question, which is an important part of what we want to accomplish tonight. So again, we won't go through this, but this is something, and again, we're all different. We all communicate in different ways. We all, some of us do text and WhatsApp. Other ones, we jump on a Zoom call or we send an email, whatever you want to do. But we do ask, especially we got 22 odd teams of 3 out on the weekend. It's great, but we do ask that now we're in a space where we do have more referees, more ARs, more working together. We do need some kind of prep, and it could be a 3-point text message. It could be, hey, let's nail this, and this. But if you know there's going to be a game, a bit of wind, bit of rain, kicking in front of the kicker, people getting tackled off the ball, probably going to be a thing. Just getting that role clarity. Like, hey, if you're close, let's look after the kicker. Forget where the ball lands. If you're far away, and you got time and space, clock where it's kicked, clock where it lands, and we'll work together as a team to get the right outcome, as an example. going to monitor the chat quickly. Dan, you mean for your fellow referees?
For your team of three for midweek.
100%. Yeah, if you need contacts, let me know. I just have to make sure I send a note saying, "Hey, can I give you out your contact information?" Because I'm not allowed to. You probably noticed I BCC emails just um, privacy, data law, all that kind of stuff. So I'm quite happy to do that. If you want it, I'll just text it. I can usually ask a person in 2 seconds, and usually the answer is yes. And we go from there. The reason we do that is because in our community, there's 172 referees across the province. Some of them are involved quite regularly. Other ones have other roles. They play rugby, they coach rugby. So we just want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with that.
Fair
If
enough.
that
And I only
makes
really want to talk to one of the people on my team, not both.
Oh, no.
You can share my details.
Like I said, Dan, everyone's different. Everyone's different. Perfect. Okay, we're just letting a couple more people into the call. So, no, really good stuff. Just firing through the last couple clips, in the interest of time. Just another reiteration of this importance. So, all three people, we have a job to do. So, this one's in the middle. Plays moving away. So we don't have to worry about, as they are on this side, touch, obviously our primary job. So we need to worry about what happens to the kicker. And again, seeing what's happening here, the ball is already on the foot. We ask the question, is this player in a realistic position to charge the ball down? This is when we start refereeing it as a referee and as an AR. And if clearly here the answer is no. So if there is contact, bang, we have a late charge in the kicker. So, a couple of things to highlight here. As the referee, job number one is to referee the most important thing. And this is, again, a potential flashpoint. Player standing still, kicks the ball, gets hit, no head contact. No need to keep running over here. You have good field of vision. There's no players in proximity to each other at the moment. We can just stop straight away and bang this penalty in. Observe where the ball lands. And again, it just avoids what could potentially, this player could get up, give a little push. So no flash points here. Well done to the players for moving on. But again, these are those moments that could lead to trouble in the heat of playoff battle, if that makes sense. Cool. So obviously the AR looking at touch, knowing where the ball lands, whether the ball lands directly into touch or not. Late charging the kicker, our mark is going to be where that ball lands on the 15-meter line. And again, we went over this a couple weeks ago. I want to say 6 or 7. The reason that is in law is so that we give the team who didn't do anything wrong the maximum advantage. So on the 15, that's a great spot to have a scrum. That's a great spot to kick to the corner, and it's a great spot to kick for 3. If we give the mark a meter from the touchline, like let's say there's a high tackle a meter from the touchline, it does not go to the 5. I hear that a lot in schools environments. The mark is a meter from the touchline. Fewer things you can do with that field position left to right. Yeah, so Lance, really good stuff. So it's again, same as that tackler in the way. So going back to key focus areas, and I will if you just bear with me 1 second. Let's go back to here. So really, really good point. This is one of the things I wanted to highlight continuously as we go through, the business end of the season. Unfair play. So this is when people are under a bit of pressure. So someone charging a kick down, they're not charging a kick down because life is going well for their team. They're charging a kick down because, oh, I need to do something here. I need to make an impact. Doesn't mean they're going to infringe, but we have to make sure that they're realistic. So are they realistic to charge down? A player making an intercept, are they in a realistic position to catch the ball? A player making a tackle when there's an offload, are they in a realistic position to make a tackle, or are they stretching an arm out to block a pass? So if we clock them and say, there's no way they're going to charge this ball down because they're moving laterally or they're facing the wrong way or whatever, as soon as that kicker gets contacted, we've already said, well, that player's not realistic and the kicker got contacted. So we have a late charge on the kicker, making it very, very simple. And that allows our comms to the players to be very simple. I didn't believe you were realistic to charge that ball down. Or same thing, contest in the air, two players going up, the high ball. I didn't think you were in a realistic position to catch or tap the ball back, and you contacted the other player in the air. And then we apply the sanction as necessary. But it goes back to that concept of in everything we do, who's under pressure, what are they going to do about it? And then once we have our definitions, like you say, Lance, tackler, not in the way, jackler, able to lift. The more we have these definitions in our back pocket so that they can be subconscious in our delivery, the more we'll be able to use this concept of the pressure gauge, which allows us to identify who or what we need to referee, what's job one, job two. So again, encourage you to practice, look at those definitions, challenge yourself watching whatever rugby you want. If you want, you can look at our clips that we have as examples. But again, it's really, really important that we have easy to follow, snappy definitions and a simple process. And it takes practice, but once we get there, we generally have more time and space. Okay, so let's look at our last two situations we wanted to highlight this evening. And again, thank you for those who sent in and created these clips. The more active people are on Coach Logic, the
As you
more
can see from the outside,
relevant we can make this for everyone. Okay.
didn't rush on that. Which, if that's coming up together, that'll be interesting to see whether they're able to.
Okay, so there's our first view.
Create it.
So this is something really important positionally. If we are ARing and we've got a ruck, so obviously if we're close side AR and there's a bit of drama on the ground or players of opposite jersey colors in proximity, we might back off the offside line a little bit just to make sure we can see. But that open side AR, particularly when the ball's coming towards us, we need to be on that offside line. And the reason for that is this is the picture that we need to get in terms of offside play. Timing, not an issue, but it's when we have a clear offside line here and there's a player clearly in front of it, we breathe. The ruck even shifts even more. So now we see this is the player. This is the hindmost foot right here. I have a player in front of hindmost foot. We don't worry about whether or not the ball's out. That's irrelevant. The key is this player never, this is what we mean by never onside. They never got back to where they should be starting. We take a breath. We wait to see what happens, because obviously if this player hits the gap, no dramas. Bang, we have a tackle, and the ball spills out. That's where we need if we don't get the decision from the referee, we need the AR to be very specific. Black, never onside. 8 out of 10. Black, 4, never onside. 10 out of 10. And then obviously the black team has the ball. That should be a trigger. Sometimes as a referee, we're not in a great position and we go, but that language, color, number, never onside, massive. Just a juxtaposition. When we're briefing our teams, let's contrast it to the timing piece, which we generally want to leave alone, because even in professional rugby, only about 20% of timing offsides, meaning is the ball out, is the ball not out, are accurate. So again, that's that never onside. Don't worry about the speed of the line. Just worry about where the player starts. If number 4 is going to apply some line speed, that's awesome. They need to make sure that they start onside, which here they clearly do not. They're in front of their teammates. As a contrast, and I know, Lance, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but I know you're comfortable with that. This is where briefing the team of 3 is really, really important. Div 1 match between Abbotsford and Mariloma 2s. Apologies for the length of the clip. We'll get to the replay. So we look here. we get a bit of a stalled carry. So that should be our trigger. So when the attacker no longer going forward with momentum, then we look at the offside line because it's going to become a factor because we know the ball's going to be a bit slower. So players might have time and space to shut down the space legally or otherwise. But when we look here, we need to make sure that our definitions are good. So for the AR on this offside line, we need to make sure that players start on side. So if we see the hindmost foot here, and we're looking for clear and obvious. So if the line looks like a line and there's no one out of the line and it's slow ball, we need to be comfortable being uncomfortable because I know they're very close to the offside line. If you actually zoom in and blow it up, there's no player from the black team involved in the ruck, so their offside line is actually the furthest most point of the other team. So this person, their head is over here. This is their offside line. This player is standing on the offside line. This player is next to them. 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 Where I'm trying to get to is no one's clearly never on side. This is where we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable because we have slow ball. Nine has a bit of a hitch delivery, which does happen in divisional rugby. Sometimes the nine stands up with the ball, and there's going to be big line speed coming through. You're going to hear that offside call from the spectators, really making sure that we're on that offside line to make sure we have confidence in our position and our priorities. They've started onside. Awesome. We're going to give the timing the benefit of the doubt. Almost get an intercept. And then we get the AR call. So we can avoid this by just having a quick chat in the week. I'm not a big fan of doing it right before the game. Again, a lot of you are doing multiple roles. Some of you are refereeing ARing, some of you are ARing a couple games. I would shut down if someone said to me 5 minutes before a game, "Hey, do this, this, this." Just send a text, send an email. If you need contact details, we're happy to communicate. I'm sure most of us have built networks and WhatsApp groups, and maybe you're going to talk about this chat later, this session later. But in any case, making sure that our process is sound and it's in our key focus areas. When we talk about space in the outside channels, obviously that 13 channel is the key. They're the ones who decide whether to move across or press in terms of defensive style. So what do we need to make sure? Do they start on side? So that concept of never on side, someone is never on side when they do not start on side. And we can referee it tightly. If it's a tight game and there's not a lot of space, no problem. You can make sure that they're clearly on side. But again, if we see a whole line of people and it's slow ball, it's really, really difficult to be able to say with a followable outcome that we need to hold that defense even more accountable. Because the casual rugby viewer might say, hey, the attack's kind of slow. The nine is taking forever, or they're looking left or they're looking right. Why are we putting the pressure onto the defense when, in fact, the slow ball was legally generated by them? Sweet. And then our very last clip, and we'll do it very quickly, but a bit of role clarity on the breakdown. I did get some feedback from some of our community in terms of they're like, hey, my ARs are coming in with holding on and tackler not rolling or side entries. Again, role clarity starts in the midweek with a little conversation. If you need help, I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of experience with briefing our teams of three. We're very fortunate to have a ton of international and professional rugby experience in our group. So if you don't feel comfortable reaching out to me, please reach out to someone you know and trust. But here's an example. So obviously our work on here from referee position, be comfortable staying wide. Referee moves close in an attempt to manage. AR, maybe unsighted. But again, this is where our role clarity at. We cannot be watching the contest and the ball and the tackler and the jackler. We have to be watching the periphery because this could happen. So I'll show a replay in a second. So speaking of cleaners, later compromised arrivals. this number 17, late to the party, very upright. The way they remove the jackler. Now we can also debate the tackler, but in any case, if the referee hasn't picked up the tackler not on the way, we cannot come in as ARs because by the time we get that information into the referee, they respond and go bang, tackler in the way. This could happen. 17 comes in, clamps, twist and or collapse. Nothing more than a penalty here because there's no hyperextension or significant pressure on the lower limbs. But these are those moments where we can create a flashpoint later. Look at the behavior of the player on the ground. Arms up in the air, they're reacting to something. So sometimes players react, to nothings, but we have to make sure that and especially in action as slow as this and as clear as this in the middle of the field, that we have role clarity. Now we miss it, there's body blocking, no problem. We can make mistakes, but as long as we make sure that our processes are sound. So if we're this close AR and we can't see through the bodies, no problem. But in reviews, in preparations, when we're looking at clips together, we have to be, all right, what can we do better as a referee? Stay wide and just referee here. Is this tackler in the way or not? What can we do better as ARs? What's going on around the tackler? Are we picking up the 17 coming in a little bit late? And that's usually when we get croc rolls, neck rolls, and the like. Question, comment, challenges on any of this? So again, do encourage, it doesn't have to be a long thing, but do encourage you to do a little bit of prep work, particularly around those big areas, which I'll bring up. We've talked about these before, but in these games, the big moments that everyone remembers, it's not the tackler penalty that you gave that was debatable, or the jackler penalty, or the knock-on that you gave or didn't give, or the forward pass you gave or didn't give. We're talking 5-meter scrum, line-out mauls, tries, turnovers, cards, or massive changes in pressure. We don't have the safety net of the TMO or the ISRO, which is now being used in MLR to varying degrees. But in any case, practice these. And if you need help or support, you can fire me a clip or anyone on Coach Logic. Pick up the phone. We set up a call. Happy to be of support. And we have a lot of support in our community as well. Again, how do we do that? Again, keep it going on Coach Logic. You can, at referees if you want to get the whole community involved, or you can just at specific people in that. And in order to do that quickly and effectively, there are a few guides there, but I will show you very quickly once again how to make a clip, because it is so effective and powerful when people are using our tool. And again, if you don't have your login already set, let me know.
Chris, it looks like Zanger has a question.
Zanger, go on.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify on that last clip. Are you saying that in the team of 3, like, it's not the responsibility of the AR to call what's going on in the breakdown, or you do want that near side AR to call that person comes in late or like not through the channel, or you want the team of 3 to decide during the week?
No, so great question. So best practice is the contest. So the contest meaning tackler, jackler, and then immediate cleaner involved. So that battle between, did they lift the ball? Did they not? Are they sealing off? Are they in the side? All those technical components of the contest of the breakdown, 100% the referee. 2 reasons for that. 1, we want consistency on all areas of the field, and the referee is usually the only one who can get there because ARs are kind of stuck. Number 2, we want to avoid, if the AR is trying to make a decision on the tackler here, we will miss the piece of foul play. So even though this is a cleaner, this person is not directly involved in the contest. The contest is happening here. This is a piece of foul play. And if we've seen foul play, we need to make sure that the ARs and the referees, that's our job number 1. So
okay, yep, that makes sense. And then I can see that the AR's role is also just to stay with that number and find it after the referee moves away or something.
100%.
Can I also
and as the referee, you might be looking too closely. You know what I mean? That's why we generally don't like to be too close because we look down. So you might not
Yeah.
be able to see anything, which is
Yeah.
totally fine. But that's where the ARs really need to come in for anything on the periphery. So someone getting taken out off the ball or someone, holding someone on the ground or whatever have you.
Can I also ask a question about kind of like the first couple clips where we're talking about the AR, looking for people who are never on side off the kick? Like, when is the best time for an AR to call in that type of never on side? Is it when someone is like just straight up charging and has never been on side on the kick,
Yeah.
or is it when they've actually made impact on the play? Like, what is the best timing there?
So there's two schools of thought there. So if we have a situation like this where the blue team is applying pressure, so we generally, if we do have an in front of kicker problem, so let's say this player all of a sudden just charges ahead, then we would wait to see the impact because the blue team's applying pressure anyway. So if the ball ends up bouncing over here and this player is running a line over here, we're generally not too worried about that. But if we flip the script a little bit, so it goes back to who's under pressure. If the red team has the ball here and the red team decides to kick it forward, every one of these red players is going to be in front. So what do we need to
Mhm.
see from them? We need to make sure minimum standard they stop, gold standard they retreat, and they're not involved in the play at all. So this is where if player who's doing a plank over here decides to sprint down the field, that's when we would hammer it in straight away. Red 23 in front of the kicker, if that makes sense.
Okay, like, and but if somehow that whole is this red team like remobilizes and the team as a whole is able to sprint on and he eventually becomes on put on side, then we just kind of leave it.
Yeah, as long as they're not advancing, right?
Yeah.
Because now this picture is perfect. So let's just say this player's kicked the ball. It's a beautiful spiral bomb. This is a positive picture because look where the red players are going towards their own goal line, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If the red players are moving this way and they're all in front of the kicker, they can't be put on side, right?
Mhm.
Because again, they have minimum standard, they have to stop.
What if like that there's like a slow encroachment and none of the red players are doing anything near the ball? I guess it feels like there's a lot of
If
gray
they're
area
not if they're
here,
not
like
near
they're
the
not
ball,
impacting.
take a breath. If
Yeah.
they're not making an impact, they're not making an impact
Okay.
in everything we do. And that's the beauty of getting to apply the law in terms of common sense. But again, the challenge to ourselves is, are we refereeing the team who's applying pressure or are we refereeing the team under pressure? Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I feel
No, it's
like
all
just even with the new laws, like not a lot of players are always retreating, and
correct.
it's
So a bit
difficult.
of common sense. And if we have time and space, lots of management, that's what we can work. And we'd be like six, stop, six, retreat. I like the term stop when they're running forward because getting them to stop and retreat, your chance of compliance is quite low.
Okay,
The
yeah,
retreat piece comes in when you have a stationary player who's near where the ball's landing, if that makes sense.
that's great.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Happy to chat about this more. So, just in the interest of time, folks, so this has all been sent to you. So, please have a dig through it. There's a bit on just some reminders on assistant referee skills, some best practice reminders on before the game, halftime, and full time, especially when we get to the high emotional state of games, which I hope all of the games are close and exciting for you guys on quarterfinal, semifinal, and finals weekend. And again, this will also apply because as we get to the business end of the school season, lots of playoffs, a chance to go to the provincial championships on the line. So lots of good things, lots of emotion. So just some things that might help in terms of your experience on game day are in your back pocket. I did promise we would end early, so we will leave it there. If anyone has any questions, concerns, anything at all, please feel free to get in touch with me. I will endeavor to get back in the next 24 hours. I'm heading to Castlegar tomorrow, and then Kelowna to do a bit of level 1 delivery. But in any case, I will have time in the evenings, and I will always, always, always try to get back to you as soon as I can. We will leave it there, everyone. Thank you so much, especially to our visitors from out of province. Go well this weekend. And yeah, we hope to see you around the grounds very soon.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Pierre.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Danny. Okay, guys.
Thank you.